everyone. You're in the show. Oh, now the stream is live. I got my magic message. So hello, everyone. It is so good to see you. Please let me know if you can hear me. I think that was another signal that I got here. So just let me know if you can hear me. We've got people from Ohio, Indiana, North Carolina, California. And I'm so impressed that those of you in a different time zone got this right, because different time zones are the bane of my existence. I am constantly missing things because I'm working with somebody on the East Coast or on the West Coast. And it's just hard for me sometimes to switch gears. So, okay, you guys start sending me some questions. West Houston, we're having a rainy drizzle. It looks unbelievably to me like we're starting to see a little bit of sun. We've barely seen the sun for days. So it's kind of a nice change. I'm sure if I go outside, the humidity would be pretty unbearable, but nevertheless, I'm not going to complain. It has just been so lovely. Okay, Tina says, question, I'm new to Oklahoma. A lot of my plant zinnias, Gumprina, Rudbeckia are all growing sideways and falling. What do you think? It could be because there's not enough sun, but it also could be because of all the rain we've had and just the physical pressure of the rain makes them fall over. Now, that's not all a bad thing. I did a short recently on when is a bad thing a good thing, and that happened to all of my celosia. It just fell over. The good thing about that, especially if you have space, is that it breaks what's called atopical dominance. Its tendency to grow from the top. And what that makes it do when it goes horizontal is all of the nodes, it will send up a new stem and you'll get that many more blooms. So it could be, you might also want to stake. You might also, another thing is when things are very small, pinch them. I pinch everything out when they are, gosh, like about that tall. And then that makes them tend to grow in a bushier fashion. Mary Ann, last fall you mentioned having problems with cucumber beetles on your plants. You mentioned possibly treating the soil to prevent. That was for Japanese beetles, and it was milky spore. However, it might work the same with cucumber beetles. You might just want to Google that, but I would definitely check that out. I missed when you moved, so I don't know the reason you moved. Oh, that's Helen. Well, Helen, welcome back. We haven't seen you for a while. I moved mostly because I didn't necessarily want to downsize, but I wanted to live a bigger life in a different location. So we moved to the cottage. For a number of different reasons. One, it's all one level. Two, and very importantly, I was ready to start a garden, a new garden. And boy, I have done that in spades. I hope some of you will chime in and let Helen know that we have done it very, very quickly here. And also, I just wanted to live in this part of town. It's got sidewalks. It's more walkable. It's closer to where some of my friends live. And I can walk just about everywhere. It's closer to downtown. Question about overseeding your grass. You did a video with Kayla, but I can't find it. Do you remember the variety of grass seed you used? Okay, Brenda, that is very timely because I just sent Kayla a message this morning. We're probably going to be doing that this week, and we will, of course, do a little segment on it. She's getting ready to scalp. We did a perennial ryegrass, not an annual ryegrass, but a perennial rye. In the past, I've used Arnold Palmer, but I think this year we might be using something different. I will let you know. We've got a pretty long window of time now over the next month where we can still overseed with ryegrass. Some people overseed with fescue, but I have no fescue in my lawn, and I don't want to overseed with it because it would then compete with my really good stand-up Bermuda, which, by the way, looks great now. So just stay tuned, but it's with a perennial ryegrass. Hey, from West Memphis, Arkansas, I'm 70 and about to finish my front yard with a large arborvitae. Any tips? Because I know it will be an investment. Thanks. Well, first of all, I would just check with your local nurseryman, your master gardeners, your state horticultural center, and just find out what arborvitaes do well in Arkansas. And I think you can handle them a little bit better than we can. There are probably all sorts of different varieties if you want a tall one, if you want a small one. But that's where I would start. I would just ask, and then get it off to a good start. Plant it in the fall. Make sure you dig a huge hole. Make sure it's got really good drainage and that it gets adequate sun. But I always start with the expert, and then I do a little bit of research on my own. Hi, Megan. You moved to a new house with some landscaping. Any ideas how to spark creativity for making these spaces more beautiful and whimsical? Well, first of all, if you've got existing landscaping and you're going to keep most of it, I would say hang tight and wait and see what happens, because you may find that certain things happen in the fall that you weren't expecting. There may be bulbs that come up next year. But I would say just in general right now, as kind of a conservative way, without knowing what the rumblings are underground, is to use some really large, great containers that match the vibe of your house with good garden fit, if you will. Add some container plantings. You could selectively add some annuals, plant some bulbs this fall. And I think that's probably the quickest way, because you're not sure, if you're new there, you're not sure what all is underground. Question, do you plant boxwood lower in containers to help get the rounded shape? Sometimes I have a hard time getting the rounded shape with the trunk. I typically plant them really at the soil level to about an inch, maybe below the level of the pot. That gives me some clearance. Sometimes a little bit lower if I want to put lots of gravel there. And then, yes, and sometimes you just have to kind of get underneath there. But to me, what really makes the perfect spherical form is the bottom of the form as much as the top. So I don't plant them too low, because that will make it more difficult to get lower. And I also always want them to look larger and more statuesque and maybe a little more mature. So it helps if you plant them a little bit higher, but making accommodations so that you can put gravel and that you can water them with all the dirt coming out. Hi, Linda. Hi, Terry. You always make us feel like you're a good friend to us. I have a J maple with so many branches wanting to be the leader. What is your advice? Well, let's see. I would select the one that wants to be the main leader. And then I would just be a little bit conservative, pruning it too much this time of year. And whatever prunings you take off, then I would save those and bring them inside, because obviously the foliage is beautiful and looks great in as kind of a internal inside decor. The other thing I would do is look to see where you've got the most density and where you want to create a little bit more light and airiness. And then if one of those looks like it's a potential leader but not the main one, maybe that's the one you want to take off. And I would encourage you, watch a YouTube on how to prune. That will help you. That will help you really get the ins and outs and the how-tos down. I'm going to be a brand new grandma in December. We'll be part of the club. Any thoughts about your feelings of being a long distance grandma? Any urge to move closer to your son and family? Excuse me. Well, there's always an urge. But for us, Denver isn't that far, and we go there pretty frequently anyway to visit. So probably not. And I love my cottage here too much to want to move. If you missed it, you might want to check in with the video that we did a couple of days ago with my friend Gail, and she gave all sorts of wonderful long distance grandparenting advice. And it was just wonderful. So of course I always get an itch to move closer, but for right now, Denver is close enough. Hi, Deborah. It's beautiful. Can you tell us how you start your verbena bonariensis? I tried putting seed in beds and it didn't work. Whenever I have trouble getting something to go to seed, then I just put it in multiple times. So like I seeded some golden feverfew the other day. And a lot of times if I did this time of year, it wouldn't do anything. But we've had so much gentle rain that I see signs of it germinating absolutely everywhere. So before a rain is always a good time. You'll find that I would I would sprinkle some now. I would sprinkle some in the spring. And then you'll find that once you just kind of get it established, some people complain it goes too many places. So that's probably what I would recommend. Hi, Linda, a new member from More. I have so many questions, mainly about your boxwood and containers. Do you leave them outside over winter as well as the ones in your window box? The ones in my window box are actually a euonymus. But in answer to both questions is I leave them in their containers all winter long. And I think there's only been 1 year since I've been doing that I've lost any to the cold. What will help, especially with my topiaries and things like that, is, and one of the reasons I did some changes to my backyard is that on my back steps is that I wanted larger pots. So the larger the pot, the better, because that gives it more soil to contain the root ball and insulate the root ball. I also have had really good luck with these faux terracotta or faux concrete pots, because oftentimes they will have a double layered wall, which provides that much more insulation, and they're not prone to cracking or splitting. And if they look like the real thing, then I'm fine with that. Plus they're lighter weight. But no, I leave them outside. If it's it's a tiny boxwood topiary in a tiny pot, I might bring that in, but only if it's very, very cold. Just make sure you go into the winter with all of them really well watered. Hello, Linda, from a very rainy, much needed in Houston. Thanks to you, I planted some ajuga early this spring, and it's amazing. You know, Mr. Relaxed Garden, I couldn't agree with you more. I love ajuga. Stewart, here we might put up one of those pictures where last year I think it showed how it was going surrounding the bottom of my steps. What I like about it is that it will be the other picture, Stewart, I think, is that it will, right there, it will be pretty aggressive. But then, because it is both very, very easy, but also a little bit finicky, patches of it just begin to die out. And then I let them die out. And then, like here, I almost have too much in that picture. So some of it died out, and I was fine with that. And then it transplants easily. It is tough. It is amenable to both sun and shade. And I just think it's wonderful. And I encourage people to grow it in areas where they just can't grow any grass. As long as it gets enough moisture, it should just be fine. Are you going to repeat the boxwoods here and there on the new east side yard? Oh yes. Oh, yes. Partly because someone today made a comment in the last video about there's a section of a concrete stem wall underneath my wooden fence in the back on the east side, and how was I going to hide that? And if I weren't going to plant anything in front of it, I would probably paint it a dark gray or a dark green. But I don't have to worry about that, because there's going to be some boxwood, a line of boxwood that will run up and in front of that. And over time, you won't be able to see that wall at all. And, you know, I always plant really densely. And because of that, I don't think you're going to see much of it. But oh yes, boxwoods everywhere. What you have already accomplished in your new garden is incredible. I love your back steps, and I can't wait to see it all decked out for fall. Well, Diane, I can't either. And so I'm doing something a little bit unusual. Well, first of all, let me just say, there is so much fun stuff that is getting ready to come up in September. It's going to be a whole month of getting to know ourselves better. And we're going to take all sorts of different quizzes, personality quizzes, style quizzes, what kind of books do we like to read quizzes. In fact, I just today took the Myers-Briggs interest inventory, and it was I haven't taken it in years, and it was revelatory. And check the post segment on the tab, in the community tab or on the YouTube tab, and I'll put the link to it, as I will, of course, in my YouTube video. But I digress. One thing that we're going to do today is a little bit different than we've done in the past. You know, we've got years of content, and I was watching a video and a biography by Lauren Bacall, and she was saying how she never watched her movies after she did them because, you know, she would critique herself too much. And I'm the same way. I'll watch them right before we put them up, but I seldom watch myself again. For once in the past, Stuart just sent me a note saying you guys need some more questions. Or we need some more questions. But I don't go back. And then recently we've done so much work in the backyard, and I thought I need to go back and see if I am standing by what I said in terms of what my inspiration was and my intentions were for the backyard space. So I'm reviewing some old ones, and I think it will be fun. We're going to put up a little playlist of them. Probably we were going to hopefully get it up today, but since we're doing a live, we'll probably put it up tomorrow. But I encourage you to look back at them and tell me, for one thing, it's so fun to see the transformation. It's incredible to see the transformation. What I thought looked great before, I now look at it and I think, oh boy, did you have a way to go. But it will be very, very fun. And thank you for your kind words. I purchased Sunshine Ligustrum, and 2 have lost their leaves. I don't know what I've done wrong. I'm in Zone 10B, Southern California. I'm not really sure. I would check, Jerry, to make sure they're getting enough water. And if really hydrate them very, very well, give them lots of water, then give them a light prune and see if you see signs of new growth. And then after you start seeing signs of new growth, give them a very, very gentle organic feed and see if that does the trick. Teresa says, my new hostas that I planted last year haven't done. I lost it. Haven't done that well. I missed it. Sorry, I lost that one. If we can find it again. Do you ever share other local Oklahoma gardeners' gardens, or do you accept videos or photos? Would love your opinion. I sometimes do. I give local garden tours, and if you've got a garden that you think we might want to feature or whatever, I would just send some pictures to support@lindavater.com and let us know about your garden. I think that would be fun. Recommended hydrangeas for under magnolias, pruned up in morning sun. Would little limes in front and oak leaf in deep shade work? I would say nothing's going to work in really deep shade, especially under a magnolia tree, because there's very even dappled light that grow under a magnolia tree. So I don't know that I would even go to the effort of that. I would say just mulch and call it a day, because the canopy is just so dense. And maybe you can put some hydrangeas in a nearby location. If you're going to try anything, I would try oak leaves, but I think, even those aren't going to get quite enough light as you need to make them really bloom beautifully. Let's see. Hi, Denise. I planted a Chinese snowball viburnum that's about 4 feet tall. What fertilizer do you recommend to encourage fast growth? Any other advice? I don't really think you need to fertilize them too much at all. And I would probably wait till spring. And then I would just give it an all-purpose fertilizer, an all-purpose organic fertilizer. But I very seldom fertilize mine. And once they get established, they're just going to go gangbusters. Do you ever have days when you get lost in your gardens? I'll go out to do one task and stay out forever. Okay, Cindy, you are my kind of person. Absolutely. I call it accidental gardening. I go out there and I may be completely dressed up and I have no intention of gardening. And then I see one thing, and then I do another thing. And then on the way to that, I'll see something else. And that is called being in the zone. It's great for your mental health. It's great for your physical health. It's great as a distraction from the horrible news. And I think it's just a wonderful, wonderful practice. So yes, Cindy, I highly encourage it. I do. Ferns in the ground, the Appletini green. Okay, gosh, so many are coming in. Appletini green door. I'm not really sure what happened there. Oh, and my son is trying to call in. Hey, honey, I am doing live on YouTube right now.
All right, I'm about to pass out. Does this tree go in this deep enough hole?
What tree? Show me the tree again. Okay, yeah, yes, it should. Make sure it's got enough space, and yes, that looks like it's a big enough hole. Yeah.
There's so many roots. All right.
Okay. Okay.
All right.
Okay. Bye.
All right.
Bye. Okay. I'm back. Stuart, am I back? Only the host can see me. The host may add you to the stage at any time. Be ready. I'm back. Okay, I'm back. I'm not seeing. Okay, now I'm seeing comments again. Okay, you guys let me know if I'm back. Okay. Sorry for that interruption. My son, Jamie in Denver, had a 911 gardening question, and I couldn't figure out how to get him off the screen. Let me see here. Hold on one second, you guys. Oh, well. I think I'm back. Did I watch the biography of Martha Stewart? So good. Yes, I did, and okay, I think I'm on 2 screens now. Okay. Am I just on one? Is your phone is it your phone? So fix it. Stuart, I think I'm still hearing myself twice. Am I on 2 different screens? Hold on, you guys. Technical difficulty. Okay. Okay, but Stuart, I'm still hearing an echo. Let me try this. Okay, am I still hearing myself twice? No, I'm not. Am I there, you guys? I apologize. Sound is strange now. Everything looked okay. Okay, yeah. So I think I had 2 windows open. My my son called me in. It was coming in everywhere. It was coming in on my phone. It was coming in on my laptop. I always make sure I never miss one of my kids' calls. And he was very impatient. I just had to give him a yes or no, and did the hole he just dug, was it big enough? So they need you. They need you. Yes, I saw the biography of Martha Stewart. I thought it was so good. I think she got a really bum deal, and I do think that they could have spent a little bit more time. Someone asked her about how she felt about it, and she made the comment that she wished they would have spent more time where she was talking about her grandkids and showing pictures of her and her grandkids, and they didn't. She said instead they showed her looking like an old lady limping around after she had broken her foot or something. So yeah. So do you ever become disgruntled if something doesn't turn out well in your garden? Oh, Catherine, of course I do. Of course I do. But I'm older now, and I just assume that sometimes that's the case. And a lot of times it's because of things underneath, beyond my control. And usually that's the weather. So I just try to keep things in perspective and know that usually when something isn't working out, something else is, because whatever conditions were make one thing fail, typically make another thing thrive. So yes, and that's just the nature of being a gardener. To garden is to suffer. During Hub's trip with the unexpected injury, did he enjoy himself after all? Oh, story. Oh my goodness. Yes. He snorkeled in the Great Barrier Reef. He just did all sorts of things. He went to an opera. He just did all sorts of things and absolutely loved it. And he made it home safe and sound despite his boo-boo. Recommend hydrangeas for under magnolias pruned up in morning sun with little lime in front and oak leaf and deep shade work. I kind of answered that before. Even if it's been pruned up and gets some morning sun, to me, a magnolia is a very grand and beautiful stately tree. So I try not to underplant too much. Now that's just my opinion. If you think it gets enough morning sun, then you know, again, it's your garden and you know what you like. So you could definitely try it. And if it doesn't work, then relocate them. Do I have a preference? Which box would you like? I planted the winter gem. I love winter gems. Right now, I'm all about better boxwood because of its blight resistance. And I really love Renaissance and Babylon Beauty. I love probably of all boxwood, disease resistance notwithstanding, I probably like Green Mountain the very, very best. I think it is just beautiful. I live in 8B in Texas. Have you ever used foxtail fern in the ground? I have not, but I bet it does great. And it's one of the things I wish I had planted more of this year. And I'll share in another video why, that and asparagus fern, because I think sometimes we're a detractor of them because they can be so messy if they don't get enough sun and things. But in general, I think they are great. And I'll talk a little bit more about them in a video this week. What do you feed your boxwoods? I feed them, what's it called? Now I'm having a brain lapse. It's a special boxwood fertilizer. I'll put up the link. For some reason I'm having a brain lapse. But I love it, and it helps with boxwood blight. And it's both, they've got both a fertilizer, and they've got a kind of a boxwood protector that you can spray on. And actually, I'm going to be showing that in a video this week. So just hold on, forgive my brain. Do I have jumping worms? And if you do so, are you worried about them and doing anything to remove them? Some people have said they thought some of my worms were jumping, but I don't think that's really the case. I think they were just writhing. But yes, if I do have them, yes, I am worrying about the tilt of the soil. But I don't think I have any yet, but I'm always keeping an eye on them. And they are just one more worry that we all have. Hi, Linda. I want to plant lots of hydrangeas around my yard, but poor drainage is an issue. Any advice on how to amend to resolve this? I would just add lots of just compost. That's the only thing I really know to tell you to do. And the other thing I do is when they're small, I mulch them a lot with lots of leaves that just fall naturally from my trees, because those then break down over time. But if you plant something like white wedding or moon dance, I have found them to be pretty tough. Annabelle, they're pretty tough, and you can amend the soil for drainage, but they actually like, they do have hydra in their name, and they really like more water than you would think. So that's an issue. I want to start plant a vegetable garden on a small scale in the spring, probably tomatoes, peppers, zucchini. Can I plant all of these together? Any other suggestions for veggies to grow together? You definitely can plant tomatoes and peppers together. Zucchini, if it's a small garden, excuse me, if it's a small garden, then you're going to have to grow vertically, because you're not going to have a lot of room for the zucchini vines to really travel too much. So I would try one of the smaller petite dwarf varieties, like maybe I think there's one called Sunburst, some of the smaller zucchinis, but definitely tomatoes and peppers. Yes, you can definitely grow those together. And I would add basil to the mix. Ferns in the ground. The Appletini greenhouse has lots in the backyard. Have you ever tried ferns in the ground? I have not, and I probably won't in the backyard, because that soil has so much root competition from those cedar trees. I could barely penetrate it to get the boxwoods in, much less fern. The other thing is that they would compete too much for all of the moisture and the hydration that the ferns need. And so probably not, but in pots, foxtail fern, yes, in pots, absolutely. Any other QVC releases planned? No, I'm not really doing much with QVC anymore. We just had problems getting in supplies, and I had a little bit of a problem with quality control, partly because of the supply issue. And now with tariffs and stuff, that would be even more problematic. So probably not. I do have, I'm not going to announce it here, but this is very, very exciting to me. So let's just say another media organization kind of reached out to me last week or week before last, and I'm going to start collaborating with them. And it's one that I'm sure you're familiar with, so it should be very fun. And I'll be helping them sporadically with some things. Greeting from Eastern North Carolina. Having trouble growing anything under my crepe myrtles. Any ideas? Are they standard crepe myrtles? Are they, limbed up like trees? In which case, then you might try just some ground covers. But actually, I think the most beautiful crepe myrtles that I have seen that are limbed up into small tree form, and particularly what they do in Dallas, is not a lot. They may plant some Asian jasmine underneath them, but they keep it very, very simple. And I think that's the best way to approach crepe myrtles, is to keep it very, very simple, especially if you have multiple crepe myrtles. So that would be my suggestion on that, is just to kind of keep it simple. Invasive jumping worms. Look at the past video on Kayla on the east side while you were on your trip. She actually pointed out the worm. I am now experiencing an issue with them. Some that were identified as that some of you suspected might be jumping worms, they actually were not. But if you just Google it, it will tell you what the profile of a jumping worm looks like versus the profile of a regular garden worm. And that will help you know. We have so many worms right now because of all the rain we've having that it looks like carnage along the sidewalks. There are so many dead worms. But that's what I would do, is I would check it out and then just Google how to address them, because since I haven't had much of a problem, I haven't had to address it too much. But there's so much online information out right now that's what I would encourage you to do. I will put a vegetable flower garden. Hi, Tina. I'm going to build and prep this fall. It is Bermuda grass. Should I use the vinegar and cardboard and compost, or just dig it out? I would do all of that. I would put cardboard down. I put really thick black plastic down on my areas because it heats up even more than cardboard, and because it doesn't break down if it rains. And it also it just solarizes a little bit better, I think. So I would do that. That's what we did. And we did that, and then we dug it out. And then if we see more roots, we'll probably use a horticultural vinegar. Will you be doing an episode with Ricki Lee Scheef? Okay. This is kind of because I just talked to Ricki last night, and I signed up for her subscription print thing that she does, where she mails you a piece of art every month. I'll be talking about that a little bit more. And as part of my Get to Know Yourself Better month, this was something that she really wanted to do. It's very personal to her, and she's going to describe that a little bit in her journey to even be doing that. She is just such a special human being. We've become really good friends. It would be so cool if you could post photos, especially when certain questions are asked. I have 3 crepe myrtle trees and plant under all of them. I have small cannas lantana. And again, that is wonderful. That's Trey Linda. And yeah, send me some pictures, and I can try posting some in the community tab. I think there are so many different kinds of crepe myrtles and different effects. And that's just kind of an opinion I have, but I can see how lantana would look beautiful under them. Yeah, send me some pictures and we'll put them up in the community tab. How do I transplant my boxwood, and is it worth doing on boxwoods that are a bit motley looking? First of all, Maggie, I would just take a look at your boxwoods and see if they have potential. If they're kind of straggly looking, if they're thinning out a little bit, I would look and see if they have topiary potential. That's always my first thing. If they have topiary potential. And then sometimes if they're kind of scraggly, and I've got two scraggly ones and they make one whole not scraggly one, I kind of put those together. It just really depends on just how far south they've gone. But especially if you're transplanting it from a location where it wasn't very happy to another location where it will be happy, then definitely go for it. I think that's an option because it will improve in better conditions, maybe with more light. Let's see. Deborah, I wanted to tell you when I tried Wirevine in the ground, I've had it come back for the last 3 years. I always thought it was just a house plant for zone 6B. Well, Deborah, that is wonderful because I have had it come back and not come back. Whatever microclimate you have it in, it must be perfect for Molenbeekia. So I think that's absolutely wonderful. Question, droopy hydrangeas, what helps to correct them? If they're droopy and you water them really well and they're still droopy, then it's probably they just are heat scorched. They're getting too much sun and too much heat. If they revive at night when it's not so hot, and if they're getting adequate moisture, that just means they're having a little bit of heat stroke and a little too much sun. Mine often begin to droop during the day. Rebecca, your mulch pea gravel mixture, do you have to remove the pea gravel too before planting a new plant? All I do is I just scrape it to the side. And then I do my digging and then I just put it back in place. So, and if some falls into the hole, all the better, it will just improve the drainage. So I don't see too many downsides to gravel other than when it gets stuck in the crevices of your tennis shoes. Hi, Linda. I'm in New York, zone 7A. I'm about to transplant 2 pinky wing hydrangeas. They're not getting enough sun, so they're lagging. I'm wondering, should I cut them down by how much do you think? I would, right now, if you're in zone 7A, I would just give them a mild prune. I wouldn't prune them too much. Don't traumatize them. When you do transplant them, make sure the hole is very, very big. Water the hole, put it in, maybe give them a little compost. But I would say maybe just tip prune them a little bit, depending on how big they are. Maybe 4 inches or so. But I wouldn't do a drastic prune on them. Then next year after they bloom, you can decide if they're really getting out of hand. I tip pruned some of mine just a little while ago. Okay, the Appletini green door house had lots of ferns in the background. Have you tried? Okay, we've already answered that one, Brenda, I think. What an inspiration you are, Linda. No matter what season, you're always there to inspire me. Oh, that's so kind. Thank you, JD. What is the name of the people that take care of your garden on the big things? I would love to contact them. Trelinda, that is, and I hope I'm not sure I'm pronouncing that correctly. It is Cityscapes. That's all one word, Cityscapes. And they are at, if you call 405-521-0058, you can tell that I've given out that number a lot. Kayla is the one that I always work with. And then Victor is somebody different. And I don't think he's taking a lot of new customers right now, but Cityscapes can help you. They're wonderful. They're not expensive nor inexpensive, but they do a really great job. Are you aware of how many of us you have helped with your off-topic talks? Your winter blues help me every year. Love, love, love you and the whole gang. Okay, RW, that means so much to me because sometimes I wonder if that kind of content resonates with you. And I try to provide the kind of content that resonates with me or that I am looking forward at the time. And a lot of us get, seasonal distress disorder. And I think that it's a real thing. And I get it also in the summer. I tend to get it when it gets very, very hot and very, very sunny. And I probably haven't had it as severe this year that I normally get in August because we haven't had the heat, knock on wood. But no, I hear you. And I think if you like those kind of topics, I think that you're going to love September. You are just going to love September. I think it's going to be so fun for all of us. It's going to be interactive. We're going to take quizzes and I'm going to share my results with you and see how you stack up, and you can share your results. And it's all about, I think as we age, I think self-knowledge is such an important thing. And this month, September, is all about self-knowledge and learning about ourselves better, on both superficial and substantive topics. I have a redbud tree that's a branch split near the middle of the trunk. Is there a way you can save the limb? I use a ratchet strap, but not sure if this tree will repair itself. Kelly, that's kind of hard for me to say, not knowing how drastic it is. But if it's something that you really, really want to save, then I would contact an arborist. There are ways that they can secure them, that they can actually put in a brace, and they can remedy that. But it, it might heal itself. And I would just give it a go, give it some patience, and maybe it will. During Hub's trip with the unexpected injury, yes, I think we've answered that one. Would you consider a Y for topiary? I found a small volunteer. Oh, a Yopon, I bet is what she meant. Absolutely. No, absolutely. It makes great topiary. Hi, Linda from Virginia. My oak leaf is drying up. In addition to watering, what can I do to save it? If it really looks like it's really, really struggling, then I would say it may not be in a good location. So this fall, when it gets cooler, then you might consider transplanting it to another area. And do we get any hummingbirds? Yes, I've seen hummingbirds this week. And Hubs and I sat out in our little mom and dad chairs this morning, and we just sat there having our coffee. And I can't tell you how many butterflies there were. There were so many butterflies, huge swallowtail butterflies. I think one time I saw counted 8 at one time. So wonderful. Ian says, reflecting on your visit to Ireland, do you have 3 key takeaways of what you learned from the gardens you visited? Yes. And this kind of comes back to this. And again, this is very much a you do you, I do me kind of thing. I think some gardeners, and in Ireland, you can do this. You can really test the limits. You can really see what you can grow in that microclimate, because it tends to be so temperate there. So they can grow all sorts of things that they find fun to grow. There were gardens we saw that had palm trees in them. They had all sorts of different, what I would consider to be exotics. And this is kind of an overarching philosophical question. I shared it yesterday in a video on clothing with Spanx. And that is, just because you can do something, should you do something? And there's a different answer for all of us. It's part of that get to know yourself better. And just because I can grow a palm tree in Ireland, would I grow a palm tree in Ireland? And I don't think I would. That's just a subjective question. So that way, it made me ask that question, and I loved that. The other thing that I took away there was they are all about organic gardening and attracting for pollinators, but they're not quite so fixated on just natives as we are. We tend to be sometimes, in my opinion, I'm going to get pushback for this, a little too obsessive about just natives, and nothing's good unless it's a native. And I don't believe that. And over there, they tend to be a little bit more moderate in their thinking. It's all about doing what's good for the environment, but attracting pollinators more so than just being a slave to natives. And then the other thing is just, I guess, just my relationship with color, and how sometimes I'm really in a mood for color, and sometimes I'm not in the mood for color. And I think it's the same way we all are, as we will discover when we take some of these quizzes. Sometimes we're in a mood for lots of company and socialization, and sometimes we want to be alone and by ourselves. And so it made me ask some overarching questions, and I think those were the kind of philosophical takeaways, maybe more so than specific gardening ideas. Have I ever planted hydrangeas in containers? Yes, and I've had the most success with white wedding hydrangeas in containers for the long term. Eventually, I planted those in the ground too, but definitely, yes. And just make sure it's a very, very large container. What an inspiration you are. Thank you. No matter what season. Oh, I think I already answered that, but thank you. I appreciate that. Yes, Diane, thank you. I could not come up with the Boxwood fertilizers top buxus. How can I not come up with that? I kept coming up with optimum. I don't know where. I've done a lot of stuff today already, so I'm going to use that as my excuse. Thank you, Diane. Thank you so much. And by the way, I'm going to be talking about it, and I have a special coupon code that you'll get a reduced price on it. So, Denise, you are so inspiring. Who inspires you? Oh gosh, that is just endless. I would say the short answer is all of you. You guys inspire me. You have such good ideas, but I think that's kind of a synergistic thing. I think we all inspire one another. Lately, I've been really inspired. I think while I was sick, and then I just kept doing it because it was raining. I watched a lot more TV than I normally do. And I wouldn't say TV is normally very inspirational to me, but I got on, I think it was Prime, and I watched all sorts of biographies. And I love biographies. I love autobiographies. And I found so many that were so inspiring, starting with Edith Wharton. So I watched a biography about her. Now I am reading her autobiography. I got her book on the decoration of houses, because she was one of the first interior decorators. And I've just taken all sorts of inspiration from her, and I will continue with that because I am hoping in short order to go see her garden at the Mont in Massachusetts. So that was, I love it when it's kind of a popcorn kind of thing. I watch one thing and it makes me watch something else or read something else. Likewise, who knew I would be so fascinated with Lauren Bacall? I watched something on a biography that she had. Then I watched an interview she did with David Cabot. That let me know that she wrote an autobiography that won a National Book Award. So then I read I listened to it on tape, her biography and her autobiography, and I found it so compelling, just so compelling. And then from that, I just get different ways to look at things. I think I try to look at things outside the box. And I'm hoping that that's what you will find in my new book. Stuart, we need to put up a little plug for my new book. I'm going to be doing lots of excerpts from my new book, Garden Inspired Living Through the Seasons, to just look at things in different ways. So I don't know if that answers your question. That Ed Sullivan biography was fascinating. Oh, I loved it. That's another one. Who knew? Who knew he was such a fascinating character? Deborah loves them also. Jen says, I love all of your content. It's exciting to see your steps look like your fairy tale house back step. Yeah, I think they do. And I don't know that I intended that, but what you like is what you like. And I think those are called signature touches. And so when I realized that there was a way that I could create that same vibe here, and I asked myself the question, what would I miss most when I left that other house? And one of those questions was my back steps. I've got a pesky fly here. My back steps. The other was the way my redbud trees were sculpted and created a canopy. And I'm trying to do that in my front yard. So yeah. Oh, thank you, Terlinda, for buying my garden journal. I'm looking to do a refresh. This is Stacy in my living room. What books or sources are good for inspiration? I have looked at House, and it seems planted that used to. I love yours and your slip covered. Okay, so here's some people that I love. I look on Pinterest, and I would suggest just going to Pinterest and saying white slip covered furnitures and see if you like that. I absolutely love Serena Crawford. I love Jill Sharp on Pinterest and Instagram. I love Melissa Penfold. She has a couple of great books out. And I would go to Amazon and look at my book recommendations, because I have lots of interior design book recommendations in there also. But again, you can search very explicitly for things that, if you're wanting to simulate a look, then you can find those. Is Terra hydrangea a southern living plant? Yes, it is, and it's hard to find. And I love it, but it's hard to find. And that's a question I've got from my resource, and I'm not sure why production is slow on them, but they have been hard to find. And I haven't had any better luck than you guys have. Linda, thank you for giving us a joy of seedling identification in our gardens. It helps my urge to pull everything that I didn't plant because it might be that is so true, Sandra. And let me tell you, I had so much fun today because back in the forgotten places, in that little area that some of you have very wisely suggested should be a fairy garden, and I think it will become a fairy garden. And in my front areas, I said it earlier, I sprinkled a lot of golden feverfew seeds. Today I sprinkled some foxglove seeds, and boy, in these benevolent conditions, they have germinated almost immediately. So in the video I did recently of 5 things to do right now, one of them is if you have those kind of conditions, sprinkle some seed that you want to germinate. You can always transplant it to a different location later. Would it be possible to have a community garden down the alley? You could drive through, stick your hand out the window and pick veggies. I don't know about that. I love my neighborhood. They're not maybe as much into gardening as I would like. I think partly because it's such a young neighborhood. They're busy with all their kiddos. It also tends to be, I've noticed a real commonality with Colorado neighborhoods. People in my neighborhood are extremely athletic, and because of that, they're not always out gardening and things. And again, they have young kiddos and a lot of young couple, mixed, both of them working full time. So I think that's part of it. So I don't know if they don't want to garden that much in their front, if they would want to garden in the alley, but it's something to think about. And definitely I'm going to try some edibles in my alley garden. I think I should put eyes, nose, and mouth on that tree in the forgotten. Yeah. Oh, yeah. One of those. I know what you're talking about. I know what you talk about. And yes, boomer sooner. Absolutely, boomer sooner. Do you have any source for scented geraniums? I had a rose scented one years ago, and I've never been able to find it again. My friend Monica, and I haven't talked to her in a long time. She was a great source. Overall, if you live in the Oklahoma City area, I would go to any plant sales like at Will Rogers and different locations like that. Excuse me. I've been talking too much today in videos and here. I would go to herb shows. I would go to botanical garden shows at like museums and at horticultural centers. That's where I would check and then go online. It seems to me like maybe White Flower Farm had some scented geraniums. Other questions here. Stuart, how many people have joined us? Give me a little heads up and let me know how many people are out there. I worked with Lauren Bacall's son many years ago. Did you really? How cool. I guess that would have been Bogey's son too then. Let me see. I think I missed a lot. I love the winter talks and different tips. Well, since it is getting ready to be inside season, we will definitely be covering more of those kinds of topics, more grandparenting topics. I've got some new people that are going to be helping me on the channel, I think. I'm hoping to go back to New York in November, and we're going to be shooting some more content there right before Thanksgiving and Christmas. I think that's going to be very, very fun. And I think it's going to be wonderful. Am I familiar with the Peggy Martin Rose and the story behind it? I am. And Katrina, yes, absolutely. And yes, please let me know how your Peggy Martin Rose does. All of your content, you're a good teacher. I do appreciate you. And yeah, Stuart is so good. I mean, he just is so patient with me, and he makes it look easy. And there's all sorts of things because we try to make this be very, very natural and very authentic. Hence, we sometimes have audio snafus. Sometimes my hair isn't always combed because I just came out from underneath the shrub. Other people are walking by, and so, but that's okay because we want it to be authentic. We want you to feel as if you're here with us, and I think that contributes to that. Hi, Betty. How do I keep my basil and herbs alive in the cold days of winter? You can try to bring them in I never have great success with that. So I just try to save seed and then I start them again in the spring and in the summer. And the other thing is I like to have some herbs to me are very seasonal. So basil, I'll fry. I will dry some and I will save some as pesto. But basil, I kind of equate with summer unless it's in a spaghetti sauce or it's pesto or something. And my other things like thyme, sage, rosemary, all of those, they will either persist out in the garden in the wintertime or I will bring some in. I'll bring some in during the winter just to dry. So do you watch other gardener YouTube channels for inspiration? I not a lot, partly because I just don't have, I hate it when people say, oh, I just don't have time to do this. I guess if I have time to watch Lauren Bacall, I could also watch other gardeners. So I watch some, I love Garden Answer and I watch her periodically. I love The Impatient Gardener and I watch her periodically. I love Monty Don and I watch him periodically. I watch Martha Stewart periodically. I watch a number of them periodically, but probably not a lot regularly. I guess I tell my husband and my kids if they gripe at me for being on my phone or on the computer, I'll say, well, I'm generating content. You're consuming content. So that's kind of a difference. Well, we are winding down now. So thank you so much. We are trying to do this on a monthly basis. And so towards the end of September, look for us to do another one of these. We so appreciate, and this fly is joining us too. We so appreciate you joining in. Again, a heads up, we're going to have so much fun in September. I'm going to make my announcement about my new collaboration, and I'm not even sure when some of this content will be aired, but it will be fun. And well, just all sorts of exciting things. Most exciting of all, the fact that on September 24th, I may have a new grandbaby. So thank you guys so much for, well, just for spending some time with me. Now you can go back to watching football or to your gardens or to watching a wonderful biography on YouTube. Thank you guys. Take care, and I will see you in the next video.